Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Shai de la Fuente, a member of BCBP Alabang, and welcome to Unmasked. Once again, good evening, BCBP. Some of you might be wondering why I'm all alone. Don't you worry. Our lively Erica is somewhere here in the studio. Siyempre naman, we cannot not have her in this episode. Tonight's episode is very, very special. In honor of the month of May, when we celebrate Mother's Day, which is, of course, Mama Mary's month, our episode tonight, Build Us Mamma Mia, features women business leaders in the BCBP. Bigatin po silang lahat, truly movers and shakers of the industry. So let me introduce our first guest for this evening. She is a member of the Ortigas chapter, completing BCLP4 in 2014. Her past services include family retreat, the intercessory ministry, and at present she serves as the liturgical ministry. In the liturgical ministry. She is a single mom with a 16-year-old daughter named Bianca Nicole. Brothers and sisters, let us welcome the country director for Google Philippines, Sister Ma'am Bernadette Dat Nacario. Hello, Dat.
Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Salamat at may kasama na ako. Medyo nakakaiba pala pag mag-isa lang dito.
I can
So,
imagine.
let me proceed to introducing our second guest. She is happily married to Edwin Francis for 22 years. They have 4 children, Francis Emmanuel, Frewin Elijah, Franzin Ezra, and Freya Enya. Medyo wow, biblical names lahat. They are graduates of Los Baños chapters BCLP3 in 2011. Medyo nabubulol tayo. Sorry naman, so babagalan ko ng konti. Past services include DGL, BCMR, and AGL. She is currently supporting her husband's service as head of evangelization. Let us all welcome the founder and CEO of Arispa Spa Solutions Incorporated, the country's #1 rice brand-based spa products, and ASEAN Business Awardee for Healthcare. Sister Ma'am Cheryl She Ramos Quintana. Hi, She.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. Ito na. Our third guest is blissfully married for 16 years with 3 children, 2 sons, Jose Marco and Luis Agustin, and an only daughter, Guada. She and her husband, Arvin, completed BCLP 1 in Bangkok. At masabi ko lang, kami ang naging course leader nila doon. Since they were part of the pioneering team, they served as AGL, BCLP course leader, and breakfast head. Back home in 2018, they joined the Makati chapter, serving as breakfast head and BCLP course leaders. At present, along with her husband, she serves as unit leader and Christ Young Professionals or CYP head, certainly no stranger to our Unmasked regulars. Ladies and gents, let us welcome the Executive Vice President and Chief Operations Officer of RMN Networks Marketing and Media Ventures, one of the largest radio broadcasting media networks in the country, the one and only unkabogable Sister Ma'am Erica Sanchez.
Hello, Shy! Ano ba to? Alternate universe? Diba? Parang hindi ako sanay. I'm tempted to say welcome to myself.
I
But of
know,
course,
right?
welcome also to our lovely guests. Shy, will you be okay hosting all by your lonesome?
Actually, napansin mo ba, kanina pa ako na bubulol. Sinabihan na nga ako, take deep breaths, I will. And I feel so much better now that you are right beside me. Dito pala sa kabila.
Oo, kabila pala. Don't worry, Shai.
And
I'll be here for you every step of the way.
every step of the way talaga. Well, but you know what? Nakakapanibago tonight. I will certainly miss you, but remember, you are the guest. You are the guest tonight. So, maghanda lang.
Yeah.
But I will take you up on your offer since maulan-ulan, baka lang ma-disconnect tayo. Alam mo na, live show tayo.
Yes.
So ready naman. All right. Tonight's show starts off with a segment called Girl. So how feminine, no? Medyo girl.
Girl.
Yan. So we will be asking our guests about their younger years, especially when they were starting out in their careers. So let's warm up by asking all three ladies to add a bit to our already mentioned introductions. Please give us three words that describe yourself as a schoolgirl. So that maybe we can start with you.
Right. Okay. So disciplined, curious, and behave. Good girl.
Good girl siya. She, what about you?
Ang bait ni Det. I was playful, carefree, and inquisitive. In short, makulit, shy.
Makulit. Sige, tatandaan ko yan. Ito, Erica, how about you?
Ako, I would say F3. Bilang hindi ako F4. F3 lang. Friendly, fun, and feisty. With a TH. Feisty.
Feisty. Feisty talaga. Sige na nga. Sige, let's get started. At dahil feisty ka, Erica, I will start with you. Remember, guest ka ha, so you cannot follow up. Let's talk about your first job. Was it connected to your college degree by any chance? Curious din ako, how did you apply to this first job of yours? And down the line, did you or did you not feel the need to pursue a master's degree or even a doctoral degree?
Actually, siya gusto ko maging doktor. Hindi, joke. Hindi. So, I currently work in RMN Networks, which is a family business. So, I took up AB Commerce, Communications in the Ateneo, which really was designed to prime me for our business in radio media. But I grew up in the world of advertising and was part of it for about 10 years before I left for Bangkok. And actually, I just realized that early on in my advertising life, I would really cross paths with the BCBP because my first major big boss was none other than Mr. Louis Morales of Image Dimension. So he was the first person that I feel that I really learned the value of professional respect and integrity in the workplace. On master's degree or even a doctorate, I never really thought about it in relation to my current profession, but I did consider wanting to take up a master's degree maybe in literature or languages. Oh, di ba? Language daw. Kasi bilingual lang ako, Bisaya and English. Yun lang ang kaya ko.
Ay, nako. Funny ka talaga. So good evening sa ating mga guests. We have our audience, from BCBP Ortigas, BCBP Tagaytay, Silang Outreach. And
A
She,
special
someone
shout
saying,
out.
may special shout out from Mabel Perez. Hello daw, si She. Nice.
Correct. Oh, Shai, sabi ko naman, I'll be here for you. So let me put on my MC hat just for this question. So, Det, what were your original career goals? Did you ever imagine that you would be the top executive you are now? And being a veteran in the information technology industry, did you craft a career plan for yourself? Or did factors like luck, circumstance, opportunity, or God's intercession, did they play a major part?
Okay. Thank you for that question. And that's a very interesting one. I didn't plan nor imagine myself to be in my current position. It's a combination of opportunity, hard work, having the right values, and I'd like to call it blessings and not luck. So before joining Google, I was country manager for systems of IBM Philippines. And before that, country general manager for Apple Philippines and Guam. Now, having held various leadership positions for other reputable tech companies like HP, Hewlett Packard, Microsoft, and Siemens, I have been tagged as an IT veteran. It sounds like an old person, so not sure if I should be happy. Now, as a child, I remember dreaming of becoming a manager, but it's not like I had a plan. However, I have a mindset that success and career growth happen when you work hard, when you make a difference, and you add value to the organization. I'm also proud that all these years, I never let integrity be compromised, regardless of the pressure, especially in driving sales targets and deals. Alam mo naman yan, pag nasa sales ka, marami talagang temptation, but never compromise that. And for me, that's totally non-negotiable.
Nice. And I'll throw the question naman to She. How about you? How many jobs have you held since you started working, and what were they?
Naku, madami, Shai. I was in and out of jobs before being an entrepreneur. In my last year as in college, I became a researcher, and then I became a college professor, also database officer in World Wildlife Fund, a researcher in at Ateneo, also a development manager for DNR. But one of the most meaningful jobs was my stint in USAID as an IEC specialist. Kasi I was assigned in Mindanao, and that was just, I was based in Cagayan de Oro actually. But 2 months pa lang kami ng husband ko ngayon during the time as a couple. So we had extensive travels to Bukidnon, Agusan, and Misamis among tribal groups there. So Jingle, my husband now, we were just a couple for 2 months, sabi ko nga, when I accepted the job. So he would fly in there to visit me monthly, and I would come to Manila every month. So it was crazy. We would have to see each other. I would fly back to Los Baños also. Kumita ng maigi yung airline sa amin nung time na yon, ang tiyaga.
Wala pa yatang seat sale noon. Before
Correct.
that, hello to BCBP Ortigas, Silay Chapter, Dagupan City. Pero, I can smell a love story. Parang nakakakilig naman yan. Tell us a little more about that.
Oo, na-shoot ko talaga yon, ano. As a young professional, I had high hopes of building a career in sociology. So I went to accept that job right away, no, based away from my comfort zone. And Jingle invested also by supporting my career goals at the time. So many years later, and when we were married na, he told me, because I asked, no, he pursued and supported me during the time because he was hoping to marry a woman who already achieved, knew already what she can achieve for herself. So confident one daw, who can take care of herself on her own. Ako yun.
Ikaw talaga yon. Grabe. Idol to the max. Ikaw naman, Erica, can I ask you, love life ang pinag-usapan. How did you manage your love life while pursuing your career? Kasi syempre, may
Naku,
pa-date-date dyan and going to the parties.
damay na ako. Okay na ako nag-host eh. Nagko-question na nga ako eh. So, okay, guest hat. Love life talaga, ha? Well, obviously family first. When I started working, I already was a young mother. I had a 3-year-old son when I started working. Ayan, sa comment nakikita ko, may nagtatanong love life. Yan yung aking current husband. O, di ba current? Ibig sabihin may future tsaka may past. But I actually met my husband, Arvin, in the industry. We never actually worked together. We were in the same industry, and it was actually difficult juggling more my family life, being a young mother, and my career. So rising the corporate ladder versus fulfilling a mother's role. Obviously, juggling both, one is more important than the other. My husband actually was in a similar situation. And to learn more, you can invite us to a couple sharing in your chapter. Pero kailangan i-vet muna ng asawa ko na nakikinig ngayon at baka mapagalitan ako na nag-o-offer ako to share.
May pa-cliffhanger ka pa dyan, ha? Audience, lalo na sa
Syempre.
Ortigas. Maraming taga-Ortigas. Meron din sa Imus Chapter, Bohol, BCBP Tagbilaran East. Please invite Erica and Arvin to your breakfast sharing para malaman na natin ang deja vu experience na to.
Sorry, Han. Sorry.
Sasagot si Arvin dyan maya-maya. Okay, now let's move the topic to like business talk naman, because I know you are movers and shakers in this industry. So that as you climbed up your career ladder, describe the competition experience, especially with the male colleagues vying for the same posts as you. How did it contribute to your attitude about being a woman in the business world?
Okay. My journey as a woman leader in tech was not easy, especially in the beginning. I still remember attending regional meetings to represent the Philippine subsidiary and being the only woman in the boardroom, surrounded by outspoken foreign male leaders. Actually, maliit lang ako and they're all tall. Can you imagine? Nakaka-intimidate talaga. Initially, it was kind of intimidating and uncomfortable, but eventually, it didn't bother me anymore because I took it as an opportunity to show that leadership is gender agnostic. So that mindset helped me to thrive in this male dominated enclave. Now, back in the day, I noticed a difference in how women leaders are perceived, not just in tech, but in other industries. But the world has made so much progress, and there are many inspiring women leaders today who continue to excel in various domains. And we should all be proud of this positive development.
Nice. I like that, gender agnostic. I like that very much. So, of course, as young girls, you grew up and became the successful career woman that you are now. So, we move into the second segment. And ang tawag natin sa segment na to ay si Ma'am ang boss. So, let me ask Boss Det this interesting question. And I'm certain you've heard this phrase before. Babae kasi eh, in any of its iterations, right? So whether it was referring to you or some other woman, I'd like to know, what do you say about this?
Yeah, you're right. I agree. That's really a challenge. Even nga when we drive or park the car, di ba, we will hear words like babae kasi. But all these years, I saw it as an opportunity rather than a difficulty. I use it as an energy to demonstrate what a woman leader can bring to the table. So each time I join a company, I set my goals and priorities. I define the value and impact that I want to establish, and that becomes my North Star and anchor in everything that I do. That also helped me when I experienced challenges as a woman leader in a male-dominated industry. And IT talagang mas marami yung mga men dyan, especially before. So I don't agree that women leaders should act like men. We should leverage on our unique qualities that are found to be effective leadership behaviors. Women can actually provide a different set of skills, diverse perspectives, transformational ideas, and attributes that are unique to us women. So never allow yourself to be affected by any biases. Those are noises that you should completely ignore. We should focus on how we can develop our expertise and leadership competencies while, of course, establishing a solid track record. Now, ikaw, Boss Erica, I imagine you had similar experiences being a boss with male employees. So I'm curious to know more about it.
Ba, nagtatanong ka rin dyan, Deta.
Na din.
Actually, well, before that, shout out. Hello, Alabang East. Hello, August from BCBP Bangkok, Green Hills East Chapter, Ladies Breakfast Ministry, and Los Baños, and BCBP Leyte, Mayang Gabi. So, I guess before being a boss, we were all employees, one point on another, diba? So, I worked outside of the family business before joining. And that was really the experience of working without any special treatment. The first account I actually handled in advertising was a very masculine account. Liquor na nga, Ginebra San Miguel pa. So I got a lot of that na parang babae yan, di naman tumataga yan. And then the second major account I handled was Toyota. So isa pa naman yan, babae yan, di marunong maneho yan. So I think that taught me a lot in terms of it's less about competing, like what Det was saying. It's less about competing with your peers, but just showing what you have and making that speak for itself. And I think as women in the workplace, one of those qualities is really empathy. I think we women bring a lot of that to the table, and we are able to really help use it to help us connect to a lot of our co-workers. And I think that is what sets women leaders apart. Pero teka, sabi ko nga nagtatanong ka pa ha. So sige, kung ganyanan din lang, magda-double body din ako. Idadamay ko si Shai. What about you, Boss Shai? Maybe you want to share some experiences.
Teka muna, business leaders, di ba? Hindi ba yun yung ating poster? Hindi naman education ang pinag-uusapan. Pero sige,
But that is a business in itself.
Sige na nga. I will answer. Basta after me, si Boss She na din ang tatanungin natin. Round robin tayo. I guess I'm very lucky because I work in an all-girls institution. So the strengths of the ladies are actually highlighted and celebrated. There's no room for the, babae kasi mentality. So, in fact, we remind each other, especially our students, to really learn to love, value, and do their best regardless of gender. Syempre, we're also mindful that our students are watching us and learning from us. So, as instructional leaders and teachers, we need to model the leadership qualities that we would want them to emulate. Alam mo yan, Erica, kasi you're a product of our school, di ba? So, ikaw
Loud and
naman,
proud.
loud and proud ba? Okay, ikaw naman, Boss She.
Well, thank you, Shai. Ako ang belief ko in most areas, business included, no, men prosper. Even in employment, actually, they get more remuneration than women. And even if in the same salary grade, ha, I think it's deeply settled in the culture, deeply set sa culture. Pero sa akin, I really take that baggage off no, when working. Kasi when you are successful, you get heard. You get the audience. And I always tell this, no, why is it important for women supporting other women? Because every woman who breaks ceilings, no, glass ceilings, so to speak, it paves the way for other women, especially our daughters, if I may say, to actually be able to choose a life to live in an environment that enables it. At the end of the day, success is genderless.
Yan naman.
Yan, slow
Parang,
clap yan, slow
oo.
clap.
Parang the message is consistent, no? It's genderless, it is agnostic. Being a lady should not stop you from working out or working on anything or doing anything. Marami tayong audience from SMMR, may pa-congratulations pa sa Unmasked, Green Hills East, Alabang East, we've mentioned it earlier. Audience, if you have any questions for our guests tonight, please feel free to type them in the chat box. We will read them out and ask our panelists. Bigatin po sila, they can handle any question that you will ask. So I'll add this question naman for Boss She. As chairman of the Philippine Franchise Association, you were the first Filipina to be awarded as the Asia Pacific Women Entrepreneur by the Confederation of Asia Pacific Chambers of Commerce and Industry, or CACCI. And you were also named one of the most influential Filipinas in the world by Filipina Women Network. Grabe ka, kahanga-hanga talaga. Can you share how you managed whatever struggles you experienced in balancing work and home life? Tanong ko na rin, how did your husband or children react to your success?
Ang hirap ng balance, no, Chai? Ako kasi I really don't believe in exact balance, no? There's no really no such thing for me. I think it's more of integration. I integrate being a mother and an entrepreneur. I was actually a mother, typical, no? I was breastfeeding my babies while tending to stores, attending my activities. I'm also very blessed to have a very supportive husband. Although entrepreneurship came to me as a coincidental decision because I had a difficult pregnancy when I jumped off to entrepreneurship. So I had to resign from work. I am a wife who wants to earn her keep. So I went into aromatherapy crafts, yung mga projects ko, hobbies ko, and I started selling it. I juggled motherhood and business. So while the business was growing, Jingle also went to pursue his doctoral degree. So during the time, I was thinking, Teka, let's professionalize the operation so it can grow bigger. And I had that as a view, no, yung mindset that for me to be able to fund a growing family for both of us, we have to grow the business so we can also be more present in family life. Kasi we are both hands-on parents eh. Having to raise 4 children, syempre kailangan tulungan kami. So it was clear from the start that family is the priority. For me to gain success in business while not missing time with the kids, yung mga milestones nila growing up, I had to grow the business so I can hire more people that I can delegate yung trabaho, no? So more people can get that job off my back. So I had to really also show the kids that we're there, we're present. So now that the children grow bigger, actually I bring them on overseas trips, yung lahat ng mga activities, basta pwede, bit-bit ko sila. God bless us also to have kids that or children that have that mindset of going to entrepreneurship, something that they can start on, and because all of them were also growing in that environment. Pero alam mo, gusto ko rin magtanong eh, nainggit ako. Gusto ko magtanong kay, gusto ko magtanong kay Boss Erica and Boss Chai. Yan. At any point ba, I'm curious, did either of you ever feel hesitant to pursue higher positions due to family considerations? Napigilan ba kayo noon? What I'd really like to know is how your decision influenced your children. I'm sure a lot can relate, no, from the audience.
Share ha, pati ikaw nakikijoin sa question and
Nainggit
answer
ako eh.
So, para lang tayo nagchichismisan mga babae. Like I said, so the RMN Network is a family business. So yes, family was the first consideration to join it. I built up my experiences outside before I was called for duty. And I think one of the things that I want my children to learn from me working in our family business is the value of non-entitlement. That you come to work every day as if it's not yours. You come to work and you serve and you be there for the responsibilities that were set before you. And really, at the end of the day, it gets to a point where you want to provide purpose more than achievement. Because again, in a family business, there's really a ceiling of where you can get to. So what I'd like to think is that I'm able to provide a purpose, at least with the people I work with, the young minds I work with, and hopefully, whether they continue to stay with us or they go on to other workplaces, it's that value that they bring around with them. And back to you, Shai.
Parang alam ko host ako dapat tonight. Bakit nasasama ako dito?
Magaling yung mga natin, mga guests
Or may
natin.
replacement host na
sila eh.
May replacement hosts na tayo. Erica, pwede na tayo mag-day off.
You read my mind.
Diba?
May early retirement ba dito?
Correct. Direct. Pakinggan po sila. But anyway, I'll answer the question. At the start, I hesitated, but not really because of the family considerations. The thought bubble was really more along the lines of, have I proven myself worthy of the position? It's really that. With my 5 kids, I've heard them say naman na they're happy to see me with my role and they're happy to see me dedicated. And so they see that dedication and hard work do actually pay off. So hopefully, I'm inspiring them to do the same. So there, yan, sinagot ko na siya. Parang masaya din naman pala. Masaya siya. So this is a lot more fun than I envisioned. And all I can say to these 3 lady bosses is, way to go, boss ladies. Now for Boss Det, tanong ko to sa'yo, as a leader, competence is of course required. Bottom line yan. That's so evident in your CV. You are an IT industry veteran. Your background in management, sales, and marketing is extensive. And you've led such reputable tech brands. What role does faith play in this? And if you will indulge us, what do you think is the most necessary character trait for success? Sama na rin natin ang and why.
Okay. Yeah, I love that question. You're right. Being a leader is not an easy job. As you go up the ladder, the more complicated it becomes, the bigger your responsibilities, and there will be more expectations. So it's not anymore about personal success, but making your organization and the people that you lead successful. So you are faced every day with different kinds of challenges, and you meet different kinds of people who can either be blessings or life lessons. Ang tawag ko dun sa mga medyo challenging life lessons, di ba? So I survive all this because of my faith in God, to be very honest. So every day, I lift my work to Him. I ask Him to be with me every step of the way, in every meeting that I join, and in every decision that I make. So during tough moments, I hold on to God because I know in my heart that He gave me this role for a reason. I trust His grand plan and I align my work to my life's purpose. So with regard to character traits for women leaders, authenticity. Be the woman that you are because your qualities alone can bring a unique set of leadership capabilities. Self-awareness is key. So know your strengths and weaknesses. It helps you define your distinct attributes and the value that you can bring to the business and the team. And it has been proven that women's unique ability to lead with empathy, I think Erica mentioned that earlier, it makes a lot of difference. So focus on that.
Susana, nasagot ang tanong ni Ray Cantera, which was directed actually to you, that how do you differentiate purpose with goals in life? Unless you want to add anything else to answer
Um,
his question.
siguro maybe I can add. Magkaiba talaga siya. Yung purpose kasi it's deep eh. It's deep within you. It can be called as the point one wishes to achieve, while purpose can be called as the reason one aims at to achieve a goal.
Nice.
Totoo
Parang
yan. Yan yung
kailangan ko ng
why.
mga notes.
Why? True.
That's the why.
That is the why. So that follow up to you. How do you see yourself in terms of your career in the next 5 years? And since we're talking about purpose, meron na rin sigurong legacy yan. What legacy do you hope to achieve for your industry?
Okay. Having worked in many of the reputable tech industries, I can comfortably say, and with all humility, that I have achieved many of my career aspirations. So over the years, I realized though that this alone will not make me happy. So having a dream or goal is one thing. I have a life purpose which I align to my goal, and hindi madaling hanapin yung purpose, but I really spent time looking for that. So that childhood dream of becoming a manager has evolved into a purpose-driven leadership mindset. So the desire to make a difference never changed, but the intent of the change that I want to bring has transformed. So beyond personal success, it is now about how I can add value to create a positive change. So today, my measure of personal success is about enabling, empowering, and inspiring people towards their life's purpose. So, as a leader, I always remind my team to look beyond business metrics and focus on how we can add value and be helpful to our clients, to the community, and to one another. Kasi pag sales team, pag hindi na nila na-meet yung quota, nade-depress na sila. So I always remind them, look beyond the metrics. So I encourage my team to find their why. So as the saying goes, when you know your why, you will survive anyhow. So this mindset is the kind of legacy that I want to leave behind.
Wow, that is so true. Hello and shout out to BCBP Malaybalay, BCBP CDO West, and BCBP Naga, and Iligan City. Mayong gabi, mga higala. CDO, that's close to your heart, She. But let me
Yes.
ask you, ito naman si Boss She, alam ko you're a very passionate member and a professional speaker on the topics of entrepreneurship, branding, franchising, and strength-based coaching. So talk to us about your advocacy for Filipino homegrown brands and lalo na for women entrepreneurs. And how are you supporting these sectors in particular? And Shai, FYI, may naalala mo si Chismisi Bird?
Yeah. Merong
Balita
binulong
ko,
sa'yo?
yes, balita ko itong si Bosche ay isang authoress. Ano ba yan? Authoress. 'Di ba? So please share with us then that other side of you being a writer and author.
Wow, grabe naman si Chismisi Bird. Actually, Erica, when I got into the radar of international brands, si Orais pa, I know it is very difficult coming from a country with fewer successful global brands. Na mabibilang lang natin yun eh. And minsan, I really get discriminated against other countries when we're setting appointments because we're a Filipino brand. When I spoke at a forum in Geneva as the only woman and Asian in the panel, I knew my purpose during that time. It's bigger than me, bigger than my organization. Because it's no longer about us, but about a country that is waiting to shine. However, I became successful, it will not be significant, if others won't be able to relate, will be inspired by my journey. So, I actually wrote 2 books, yung binabanggit mo. I believe it is part of God's perfect plan for me. I wrote my 2 books, yung published kami ng 2016, my Small Entrepreneur's Journey, ayan, shameless plugging kasi mga self-published book siya. And then during the pandemic in 2020, at the height of it, I launched, yes, the Filipino brand Ken. I always believe that it is providential also, no, because a lot of MSMEs in the country are suffering, especially during the pandemic. So homegrown Filipino branding and women entrepreneurship are the closest advocacies to my heart, Erica.
Galing
Thank you for
naman,
sharing.
Ma'am Boss
Thank you for
She.
sharing that.
Kailangan
Yeah,
makakuha tayo
and
ng copy ng
actually,
books.
yes, I was going to say that's one. We should all get a copy of that. And
Mhm.
actually, there's a question from Arlene Balimbing, and I want to follow this up to She. As a leader in your field, how do you advocate a genderless environment and advance the rights of women in your workplace? So you did mention that success is genderless. So maybe you
Yes.
can weigh in on this question.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Arlene. It's really, you have to work hard and really show, sabi nga ni Dad kanina, authenticity. You have to show what you're capable of. And ang ano dyan, ang key, you really have to support other women's success. We should all be, welcoming, accepting, and really make that effort of clapping for other women because yun nga, you paved the way for other more women to succeed. So helping one another, enabling.
Det, would you like to
Galing.
add? Baka naman gusto mag-add ni Det.
Yeah, so in Google, we have what we call DEI. We advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we have a lot of programs to really promote women leadership. And other than that, even hiring, we make sure that when we shortlist candidates, there's always that balance between male and women and female. So talagang ano siya, parang it's a conscious effort to promote diversity in the organization.
Thank you for that. That's good to know. And I guess we move now to our third segment, which we will call Woman of God. As BCBP members, let's now look into how the careers of our sister guests tie in with living in the shadow of our Lord. Det, let me throw this first question to you. How did you become a BCBP member? Spill some details like who invited you and what community activities do you like the most?
Yeah, I think she's watching today. So
Yes,
shout
I know
out,
she's watching.
yeah, shout out to Donna Yan, the wife of our former Ortigas chapter head, Andrew Yan. So she's the one who invited me. So back in 2014, I still recall as the new country manager of Apple, I arranged a business meeting with her. And in our conversation, we talk about work-life balance. And I casually mentioned my innermost desire to be part of a community that can deepen my spirituality. And then she introduced BCBP to me. And obviously, the rest is history. I will always be grateful to Donna for bringing me to this community. And I'm thankful also to my parents who brought me up with deep Catholic values and guided me to lead a Christ centric life. Now, BCBP helped me in further strengthening my faith, and the community has been my prayer warriors, the Ortigas community. My favorite activity is the prayer meeting and assembly. I enjoy community interaction, learning, and sharing, and I always go home with a renewed spirit. So what about you, Shen? Ngayon, magiging host ulit ako. who, invited,
Mahawa na tayo.
who invited you to the community? And what's your favorite BCBP activity?
You know that there were a couple of our friends who invited us over in BCBP. At the start, we were hesitant kasi we were very busy at the time opening Orais pa and also we were launching it as a franchising company. But now, looking back, it was really God's plan. He was preparing us spiritually so that, when success came, we were steadfast in our faith and also we won't be swayed by what success brings, no? And he made sure that our hearts are in our proper places when, like material endowment dumating. So, yun ang purpose. He was truly the wisest. Our favorite activities actually is worship. Favorite ko yan. Madalas napapaiyak talaga tayo pag worship. It is an overwhelming feeling when you offer everything up to Him. Ikaw, Erica,
Naku!
what is your journey in BCBP?
Round robin nga talaga. So in other words, Shai, mag-ready ka na sa sagot mo kasi sa'yo lang ito babagsak, di ba? Well, speaking of Shai, I was invited to community by Shai and her current husband also, JV, who first invited my husband. And so BCBP Bangkok started out as very small, men's first, and then slowly the women followed. And again, it was something that also held us steadfast because we did go through a couple of trials before coming back to the Philippines. My favorite is actually the breakfast dahil patay gutom ako at yun lang habol ko. Yun naman yung pagkain lang. Yung I'm hungry for the learnings and experiences of other members of the community. O, di ba? May paganyan. So go, Shy. How about you?
Ako, masaya naman pala pag guest, lalo na pag madali lang yung questions. Like, who invited you? Madali yan. Si Bambi and Clifford Serrano of Alabang East. So, hello to them. My favorite activity, after serving as mission directors for quite a while, I will have to say that my favorite activities include the breakfast and BCLP. Kasi ako, I really like meeting new people and I like hearing stories. And these two activities, easily you can find in the breakfast and in BCLP. Laging magaganda yung stories doon eh. So, Erica, dahil nagtanong ka, tatanungin
That's
naman kita
me.
ngayon. Given your BCBP services so far, which of your skills, at alam ko marami kang skills and talents, which ones out of all these proved to be most helpful in your service?
Siguro yung pagiging madaldal ko, I'm able to welcome people easily. Another joke that I would launch is that batang isip, kaya in charge kami sa CYP. But I think more than anything, one of the skills is maybe a lot of people really say that I'm warm-ish. So it's easy for them. It's easy for me to welcome and talk to people and make them feel at home, whether it's a breakfast or when we when we led the CLP and so on. But enough of me. Let's go to Deb. Bigyan mo naman kami ng words of wisdom for our BCBP sisters, especially single professional women who are going through challenges of taking care of aging parents, raising children and members of the next generation, while also managing such full-time careers. And I'd like to say that I won't call you an IT veteran. I will call you an IT maven.
Oh,
O, di ba
wow.
mas maganda?
I love the word. Okay, sige. So we often hear the word work-life balance, di ba? But it's relative eh. So it starts by defining your priorities. So the needs of my 87-year-old mom are so different from the needs of my 16-year-old daughter. So nasa sandwich ko generation eh. So both of them need my attention and time. My work requires more than 100% of my time given the many deliverables, no? So first is to control the controllables. And what's that? That's our schedule. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. I repeat, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Second is the importance of detaching. So take a break, pause, and reset. I practice doing a hard stop at 6:30 p.m. to spend quality time with my family during dinner. Then we watch YouTube, meron pang promotion. Watch YouTube together and do our evening prayer. And if I have work deliverables pa, I do it after my family time. I also try to completely detach during weekends and public holidays and during our Google Global Day Offs. We're lucky we have the Global Day Offs kasi. And that gives me time to attend to my personal priorities. Lastly, I practice having what I call life's harmony. So what's that? Feeding my mind, my heart, my soul, and my body. So I start and end my day with devotion, reflection, and a sense of gratitude. And that feeds my soul and gives me a sense of direction and optimism. Now I feed my heart by spending quality time with my mom and daughter and being available when they need me. So simple exchange of messages with relatives, with friends, and reaching out to struggling communities that also make my heart happy. Now, I feed my mind by pursuing my other passion and interest like being a plant mommy, which I discovered during the pandemic, and connecting smart devices to make my house a smart home. I love smart devices. Tsaka ako talaga yung nag-i-install. Now, I feed my body by being more health conscious, though I have to admit I'm still a work in progress. I'm sure my daughter, if she's listening now, hindi siya mag-agree kasi inaayos ko pa yan. Now, let's keep in mind that self-care is the fuel that allows our light to shine brightly. So by taking care of ourselves, we have so much more to offer than when we are running empty.
Self-care daw. So, perfect. pang-orais pa. So, She, ikaw naman.
Oo nga.
Diba?
May
Orais pa. So, She,
interactivity.
tanong natin si She. She, what teachings helped you the most as a person, as a working wife, and a mother?
It's also evolving, Chai, through the years. I always believe that to be successful, you really have to throw the entitlement out in the window. But now that you get older, no, my favorite teaching in life is having a prayer active, uh, active prayer life. It also really helped us to get through all the trials that entrepreneurship and family life are both peppered with. So I've written this in my book, do your best and pray hard. Prayer is life talaga kasi, Shai, for me.
Prayer is life. I like that. You ladies, all of you are inspiring so many. From Olonga po, Elsa Valenzuela is sending you hearts. Tina Cruz Mateo is saying they're so proud of you. Grabe ang galing. You're inspiring so many of our audience members out there. Erika, para naman to sa'yo. In the
Ako,
BCBP way of life, gusto ko tong tanong na to para sa'yo. Married couples are pointed to Ephesians 5, where wives are taught to be submissive to their husbands. What was your initial reaction when you first heard this, and how do you feel about it now?
how do I feel about it now? I feel like I want to pass it to you, Shai. Kasi mahirap siya na tanong. Pwede bang i-pass? Ah, sige, I guess, well, admittedly, it's a very polarizing verse. People take it many different ways. And I have a personal experience with that when we had to move to Bangkok for my husband's career. So that, I think, I want to think of it as less of just submission, but always for those women who have BCBP husbands, you're part of the community. You think about you are your husband's partner in all things, and as a partner, there should be respect on both sides and acceptance on both sides as well. As long as you're able to talk it out, I think that you should be able to come to an agreement. So I'd like to think it's less of submission, but really more of that kind of a relationship, in the same way that Christ has his relationship with the church. And to be very honest, I learned more about it as I grew in the community. As I grew in the community, I learned more about it and learned more of ways to look at it positively. And I think it would be a very different situation if I was not part of the BCBP. So mahirap siya, isa yung Miss Universe na sagot. How about you, She?
Oo nga, pag Miss Universe yung tanong, ano? Ah, well, sa akin, Erica, I believe that the most empowered women don't have problem with submission. I know we have different roles to play eh. Walang paligsahan doon. Pagka, you need to show submission, ikaw yung nasunod ngayon, ako naman bukas. Walang ganon. Ako, I believe that graces in our family flow through him, my husband, and I listen. And so I follow. So my children will also grow up, looking up to him. Makikita nila yon eh, how the mother, treats the father.
Totoo yun. And there's this very interesting question for our guests. And since guest din ako, kasali ako dyan, so I'll answer it first at baka maunahan pa ako sa sagot. So the question is, what can you say are the most endearing qualities of a BCBP man? And thank you for that question, Erica. That's a very interesting question nga. For me, I think, I always say real men wear pastel. But for me in the BCBP, it's amazing to see a pious or a prayerful man, because for me that's a true test of masculinity, is someone who knows that there is somebody else that is much stronger than him. Before we go to death and share, si CH wife siya muna. Parang hindi ka na nagsasalita kasi nagtatanong na yung mga guests natin, sumasagot din ako. So,
Pero excited na ako kasi parang feeling ko pwede na tayong mga guest hosts every now and then. To answer the question, I think BCBP men are tapat. Kasi di ba, tapat dapat. But seriously, for me, I like that the values of honesty, commitment, and service are not lip service to BCBP men. At least the ones I interact with, they live it out really with their day-to-day activities. Det, what about you? Please tell us the lovable qualities of the BCBP brothers that we have.
Okay, sure. So BCBP men for me are truly admirable because they are very Christ-centered and advocate for the highest level of integrity. So many of them, as we all know, are very successful, but they recognize that these are all blessings from God. What about you, She?
Nakakatuwa ito. Kasi recently, we had a couple's breakfast here. The ones who are actually in tears while listening to our sharing, brothers. I think BCBP men are, because they're very empathic, no? They're tempered already with the wisdom gained in teachings. They continuously grow also because we have a lot of programs enriching their faith. In short, iyakin.
Kakatuwa. O, Erica, meron ka bang input pa? Wala na.
Wala, yun na nga, prayerful nga, kasi nga, for the father or the leader, I think I also learned somewhere that actually the husband is actually the first line of pastoral care for the
Mhm.
family. So
That's
I
right.
think that also plays a big role. He has to, like you said, walk the talk. Diba? And tama nga yung din sinabi ni She that your children also learn to look up to their father as the head of the family, both spiritually and in all things.
Na-recap na siya. So I want to just say thank you to our brothers and sisters who sent in their questions and their comments. Now it is time for our last portion called Be Honest Ha. And Erica, baka naman hindi mo pa alam ang rules, so let me explain it to you. And of course, to the others na. All you need to do is to give the answer which immediately comes to your mind. No explanations required. At ang ating mga script writers, may pa-twist-twist na naman dito. Are you ready, ladies? Pa-heart naman dyan pag ready na. Nice. Favorite comfort food? That.
Mendocoro ramen.
Masosyal.
Kaya nga eh. At saka specific. Anyway, household chore I try to skip or escape. Erica.
Namamalan siya. Ng
One
buhok.
thing I've done but will never do again. She.
Scuba diving.
Okay. Post show tanong natin kung bakit. Number of meetings I have in a typical workday. Depth.
10 to 12.
My very first impression of BCBP. She.
It's for men only.
Okay. So who is the real boss at home? She.
Si Jingle.
Okay. Favorite tearjerker film of all time? Erica.
Kramer versus Kramer.
Tears. My pet peeve is blank. Death.
Entering a super messy room.
Cooking or baking or ordering? Erica.
Cooking. Wow, talaga lang. Ang tanong is
Makatikim
kung
nga.
buhay pa yung pinaglutuan ko. Okay, so it's my turn and are you ready, Shai? Kasi syempre, since kasama ko kanina, kasama ka rin. So
Daya
game the game
nito.
na sisters. Come to work or work at home, She.
Work from home.
Pag mainit, ponytail or pusod, Det.
Ponytail.
If I wasn't an executive now, I would be a blank. Shy.
Uy, di ako executive pero back in the
An
classroom.
executive principal.
Kainis. Back in the classroom teaching, as in teacher talaga.
My favorite section in the supermarket is blank. Shy.
Chips.
When I'm stressed, I blank. She.
Massage, syempre.
Ay, okay. Tama yan. With the rice paspa products. The naughtiest thing I did in grade school is blank. Det.
I ate my classmates' baon.
Favorite at-home attire? Shy.
Blouse and shorts.
Anong klaseng blouse? Hindi, mamaya na lang yan.
Maya.
The average hours I work in a day, She.
6 to 10? Ang layo ng spectrum.
Ang layo ng gap, ang laki. And basta potluck, I bring blank. Det.
Cake.
Cake. Ang sarap naman. Sana makatikim.
Feeling ko cake tayong lahat ang sagot dyan.
Easy yan. Pinakamadali.
Correct. And there we have it, the wonderful business women of BCBP. Pa round of applause naman dyan sa ating ladies. Before we close, one final question for all four of us. Let's each give one unsolicited advice to the BCBP men who are watching us tonight, especially those married to working wives. She, let's start with you.
Ay, ang hirap ano. Pero, Shai, being a wife and a mother is no easy feat. So the least that they can do is really play their part, support their wives, and of course, remember, a happy wife is a happy life. It also won't hurt that the husbands pray for their wives. So become their number one fan and be her prayer warrior. That
Okay.
is your thoughts?
Yeah, so from my end, more than just loving and caring for your wife, be her biggest cheerleader. Remember that it's not easy to juggle work and family time. So trust her priorities because women in general are very family oriented. Be her sounding board and be her spiritual coach because she needs you and the kids to be her source of strength. Erica.
Nako, parang ang titino naman ng mga sagot nyo. Sa akin, medyo maikli lang. It's an unsolicited and unpopular opinion, but for the BCBP husbands, please do not surprise your spouse by asking them to suddenly do a prayer or to suddenly discern mga 5 minutes before the event. How about you, Shai?
I support your answer. Sama na rin natin closing prayer dyan, di ba? Ako, I guess, for me, it's tied to the word balance. We need to learn how to balance what needs to be done in all that we do, whatever it is, wherever it is, whenever it is, and whoever it may be, no? So, with that, that's the show, brothers and sisters watching from our audience. Pero question lang, Det, ini-insist po, nag-google ka ba daw?
Or
Nag-isip
how many times a day?
of
How many times a day ka nag-google? Siguro na follow up ko.
every chance. And by the way, pag yung daughter ko magsasabi, Mom, at paano tong assignment ko? I-google mo. Yun na lang yun.
In-insist na
Tama
itanong
yan.
eh.
Hashtag, i-google mo.
Google yan. So that is it for tonight. I hope, ladies, you enjoyed our show this evening. Kamusta ka naman dyan, Erica? I'm so proud that you survived.
I'm also so proud that I survived, Shy. And I know that I would rather just host than be a guest. But
I need to have you with
happy to have
me.
done this. Yeah, I'm so happy to have done this with a lot of strong women here. And of course, in the chat box, sumasabog ang mga palakpakan at mga hearts. So to all our sisters out there, we really felt the love, we really felt the support, and we hope that this was a good episode for you all.
That is right. So good night, everybody. I am Shai De La Fuente from BCBP Alabang.
And I'm Erica Sanchez from BCBP Makati. We will see you all again for episode 5 on June 4. It's actually next week, so same time, same channel. Don't miss it as we will be unboxing NAC 42 in 2022. Teka, may logo yan eh. Nawawala yung logo eh.
Wala siya.
Nandiyan na kanina, nawala siya kanina eh. Ayan na, yan. Yan yung logo. So,
That's
good
it.
night, everybody. Magandang gabi.
Magandang gabi. BCBP.
BCBP.
Thanks for having
But we're back. It's still live.